KGRA Digital Broadcasting and Pop Culture Minefield presents Dangerous Military Nerds. Dangerous Military Nerds. They're just like regular nerds, only dangerous. And now, your hosts, Don Ecker and Gerry Cassell.
That band, of course, is my buddy Scott's uncle, Tainted Angel, with our opening theme song. They're a really good rock band. Happy Wednesday, everybody.
I always think of tainted love when I hear that.
Tainted, well, look, I don't like the word taint to begin with. It just has such a connotation to it. And I kept telling Scott, maybe you could get your uncle to change the name. Because all I think of is the taint when they say their name. But that is a great song. Really good stuff, very patriotic, and I love that stuff. So happy Wednesday to everybody. For those of you that watch our shows religiously, which a lot of you do, we didn't have a show this morning. Don and I decided.
Yeah, we did. We had a repeat.
Well, we had a repeat, and or as they
best
call
of,
it,
dude, best of,
as they call it in the business, a stutter. No, it's not called that. I lied. I made that shit up. But Don, it was nice to take the morning off and sleep in today. I slept in, and I feel re-energized, reinvigorated. But not quite as much so as I feel after I've had some of our sponsors' delicious drinks. Fuel Up. Fuel Up makes this drink that really has me feeling good. And again, I always remind people, I was using the supplement for over a week before someone said, you don't snort that. You're supposed to mix it in water. And I went, oh, okay. Nice safety tick.
That was funny the first 400 times you said that.
Shut up, Don.
The question is, Gerry, how do you like it more? The Fuel Up.
I love it. Fuel Up is delicious. Oh, no, drinking is much better. Much better. My nose started bleeding a lot. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for being here. I see that we've got a nice crowd already building up on YouTube. We have Penny, that is Dork Knight's mom. Boosh McFadden is here. Good to see you, man. Of course, the love of my life, Anima Confusa, is here. The Peter Vickman fan site, or as I know her as Vickman's Girl, is here. And everybody, I hope you're having a good middle of the week, hump day, whatever you want to call it. And of course, we have a House of Dragons now because we have Dragon Brews here. So it is afternoon, although it's really kind of morning to me because I woke up at noon, the crack of noon. And I am.
Did you see Bush change my name?
Did he?
Yeah.
What did he do?
Yeah. Don Eckman.
Oh, Eckman.
That's
Eckman.
really.
Don Eckman.
And Geru Kiesel.
I'm Geru. Bush, I love you, buddy, but you need to stop dropping those mushrooms. I'm just telling you. And he is a chef, by the way. Very good cook. I like to see. He shares a lot of photos of his dishes. Sharp dude. Good friend. But it is Wednesday, and we're going to be talking with someone who is very special in my life. Her name is Vicky Dye. She is the co-manager. I don't know what her actual title is. I never ask. Of Warriors Inc. as well as Warriors Group, Warrior Publishing Group. And I'm the official artist for them. I've done a lot of work with them since 2006. I've been working with and for Warriors Inc. and Warriors, or Publisher Group. Oh, tongue-tied today. But Julie is here. She's used to how stupid I sound. She's known me long enough to get used to it. And I will tell you, she's that friend, that kind of friend that lets me know just how dumb I am sometimes. And she has pointed out things like today, just today, you could delete a lot of your signatures out of emails and those emails would be shorter. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. And then she told me how, and I went, okay, I'm stupid. But our guest today is Vicky Dye from Warriors Inc. and Warrior Publishing Group. And I want everybody to welcome this lady. She is so awesome. And she deserves all the accolades that she should get. There's Julia. I'm going to move you up in my position. And I'll move over here.
Ooh. Am I the only one clapping?
No, I'm clapping.
No,
you just
I am
can't
too.
see or hear it.
Hi, Gerry. Hi, Don. Thanks for having me on.
Hi.
Great to be here.
It's so fun
Great
to have you on. And and when I emailed her about this again, because she's been going through a lot recently. I won't go into it, Julia. And but
You could go into it. I'm so excited that my mother is turning 100 years old. It's so exciting.
I just know there was some drama mixed in with it.
And my mother was born on May the 4th. I come by my geekdom honestly. My mother was born on Star Wars Day. Is awesome.
May the 4th be with you.
You know what else today is, right?
Oh, today?
Oh, yeah.
It's the 19th.
Very big, important date in American history. Huge, as a matter of fact.
Like Trump
and
huge?
I'll lay you odds nobody will even mention it, but I will.
Oklahoma?
No. April the 19th, 1775. Lexington and Concord. The shot heard round the world the day that America began. And that is 248 years ago.
Yeah, that's really freaking cool, dude. Yeah, I was unaware of the date. That's really good. And of course,
it is also the anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing, so I'm right, but it's a few years later. But shot heard around the world is also very cool.
Absolutely. Yep. Our foundation,
and nobody, by the way, knows who fired it. Nobody knows.
Because it wasn't even known if it was British or American, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody
hey,
did,
Mexican Iron Man is here, man. He's one of our big backers. He's the one who set up our LLC. Mexican Iron Man is a hero in our community. And it's true, he is Mexican. And it's also true, he's an Iron Man. He has his own action figures. It's really cool. Hey, Mexican Iron Man, if you want to be on, I'll send you an invite so you can meet Julia. He's a big fan of what you guys do, Julia. And going all the way back, when did you meet Dale? And what started first, personal or professional relationship?
Professional. We met on a crazy little film that I was brought in on because it was the first time that there was a Warriors Inc. film that had women in the infantry that went to boot camp and did the whole shebang. A little bug movie called Starship Troopers. And he wasn't particularly sure about the whole thing because I was I was a political hire. My brother-in-law was the first AD. And I went through boot camp and all the training and all of that. And so I didn't like him quite that much then.
Imagine that.
First night out in Hell's Half Acre, Wyoming, we had a gigantic blizzard. It was a good time in our shelter halves and crappy sleeping bags. But got through that, learned professional respect for each other, did Rough Riders, got to become best friends after that, and fell in love later on. So it was a great progression.
Perfect.
So you were involved with Starship Troopers. Now, I got to tell you, when I was growing up, back in the late 50s, early 60s, I read the book by Robert Heinlein.
You better believe it. I lived that book. I wore it down to the binding. I bought several copies, having read through them.
I loved that book. And as a matter of fact, I still have a copy of it around here somewhere. But they made quite a few changes in the film adaptation from the book.
Yes. One of the reasons I got involved in the first place is I was so excited because in a previous life, I believe I must have been one of Heinlein's wives, or wish I was. He's a great hero to me. And that particular book has great meaning for me. And I just wanted to be a part of it so badly. It's a fun film. It really doesn't have that much to do with the book. If you don't pay attention to the fact that it's Starship Troopers and it's just a fun bug movie, you'll probably enjoy it more. But yeah.
Well, the director is politically opposed to Heinlein. They come from different political spectrums. And so he flipped it. to be more the other way, which, you know, I'm fine with. I enjoyed the film despite that. But I really did wish they had kept some of the things from the book in there. But you
Yeah,
know,
some of them they wanted to, but they couldn't technically. The bouncing the suits, they had these sort of bouncy suits that were much more like the book, and they were terrible on film. Because people were so far apart that they looked like tiny ants. They couldn't film them close together, and it was sort of nauseating to watch. They just could not make a prototype that was filmable, so that those kind of went away. So some of it was technical in nature, and some of it was just not the point that the director wanted to make.
how much fun was it working with Clancy Brown?
I loved working with Clancy Brown. He was many of them. Raschak was awesome. Michael Ironside was beyond awesome.
I'm
he
a fan of his too.
He sat there and came down in the trenches with us, backed us against production all the time. He was fought for us. He was fabulous. No one could have said the line, "They sucked his brains," like he could have. He's the only one that could have done it. There were so many, you know, heroes throughout. I mean, it was great.
I will point out that Christian DeLorme, one of our big backers, put a $5 Canadian super sticker up, and it says Starship Trooper was the first date with my wife in 1997.
Aww.
So it brought
and Dale dies too in a different way.
Yeah. So there you go. So the relationship started there, progressed slowly. You guys took your time getting into it. But when did you come on board with Warriors Inc.?
Well,
full-time gig.
As a full-time gig, you know, it's funny. In Hollywood, there's some very few things that are a full-time gig. In some ways, it's still not a full-time gig. You know, it depends on when there's stuff going on. It was pretty quick. You know, he left to start Rough Riders before Starship Troopers ended.
With Tom Berenger as Teddy Roosevelt.
That's correct. And Gary Busey and
really
great miniseries.
Because he worked with him on Sniper, right?
Yes.
Yep.
John Milius, a terrific guy.
Yeah, I've been wanting
Julia,
to with him for years.
Did your husband Dale work as an advisor on the unit?
The Unit.
Yeah.
The TV series.
No, I don't believe so. If he did, it was an episode or two, but I don't believe so.
Well, my wife, Vicky, for a number of years after we got rid of our interest in the magazine we were publishing, did a lot of background television acting. Okay. And she met Dale on one of the television shows she did. And honest to God, I thought it was the Unit, but it might have been something. It had to be something.
It could have been. He's done a lot of episodic stuff, and sometimes they'll only bring him in for like one or two episodes. So it could be.
But she knew who he was because I had told her. I first encountered Dale Dye, I think, with Running Through the Raindrops.
Run Through the Raindrops. His novel.
And Dispatches. Now, Dispatches with Michael Hare was my Bible for years.
Oh, that's actually where I first ran into Dale's name too, as Dispatches.
with the little daisy on the album.
Yeah, right. But she went up to him after they got done shooting, and she said, "By the way," she said, "it's really been a pleasure here being on set with you. I want to let you know that my husband was a combat wounded Vietnam vet." And she came home and told me that Dale told her, "Well, when you go home, you tell him welcome home." And that meant a hell of a lot to me.
Yeah,
it awesome. Really did.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely genuine. Believe it.
Yeah. So I had to tell you that.
That's a great story. So when he went to Rough Riders, I stayed back to finish Starship Troopers along with his second in command, long-term Michael Stokey, and we had to finish. so he left us to finish it up. And then after that, I went down to Rough Riders and finished that up with him. And ever since then, I was working. At first, working on productions when there was need, plus doing my own other side work. I was still doing stunt work. I was directing stunt shows in theme parks and doing other stuff on my own. And then more and more productions. But I got into more doing some of the administrative stuff and things for the company that needed to be done. And then while we were in Australia, working on the Pacific is when we got into publishing, and then that's kind of my baby. So then I took on Warriors Publishing Group, that has continued to grow and completely take over my life, as you know.
And one of the things I always say with great pride, I'm the official artist of Warriors Publishing Group.
You are indeed, of course you are.
And in fact, I'm so excited over this latest cover. It's
awesome. It's so beautiful. I can't wait. The reveal will come soon.
Yeah. It's when Dale said the words, that was his favorite and the best one I'd done yet. And I'm like going, but what about the submarine one? I thought that was really good.
They're all awesome. Each one is so different. It's hard to pick.
Well, this one, I'm
kind of fond of Bangkok. I love the Thai.
I did. I like that one. I also like the one I did. The first one I put Dale on the cover was really good. Down in Cuba, I think it was. Havana File, where I got him firing past the camera at a drone.
Yeah,
that was a fun painting.
It's not Dale, it's Shake Davis. They're not.
Yeah, sorry, Shake Davis, who just happens to look like Dale.
Sound exactly like him.
Sounds like him, looks like him, kills like him, but it's not him. But it's a relationship that I always point out that you are sort of the unsung hero at Warriors Inc. And I've told it to you the last time. I said, Dale gets enough love. He gets enough love for all that work. You are the person that's sort of the backbone, and you wrote a book called Backbone.
I did.
And I've always considered that even though he is my boss in so many ways, you're the person who I've developed this rapport with. I know Dale Dye. I have him in my life, but you are the person I've worked with for almost 17 years. And you're one of my favorite people to talk to on a regular basis.
I don't know if you want to brag about that, Julia.
I'm bragging about it. Because, there was a moment when I was having
I'm the person he talks to on a regular basis, not with. So, I know how to say and then while I'm working.
Yeah, I can see that. You're like doing stuff. Yeah, Gary.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I cued in correctly on that one. You're like I was with my dad. I always knew when to nod and go, mm-hmm. I didn't know what he was talking to me about. Sure, Dad.
I'm not sure, but it has something to do with the I don't know, something science fiction.
Yeah. But it's been such an amazing journey, and it's just like, gosh, we're not that far from 20 years, and it's like, oh, and I've been doing this show for several years now, and I finally got you on the show. Now I did have you on to talk about Band of Brothers,
right?
But you were not really on that one. You were there, but you weren't working on the film or the show. You weren't working on it. You were more deeply involved with the Pacific.
Definitely, yeah.
And I've seen the photos of you on location there.
Mm-hmm.
And what was that like? Was it, was that a hot shoot?
Pacific was
it looks hot.
Intense. It was intense. It was very different feeling than Band of Brothers, different atmosphere, because we're following 3 Marines and as opposed to a unit. It's a different kind of feeling on set. It wasn't like this whole band that you're putting together. My job was very much in the logistics of doing that, because we have this core group of background, but because it's not one unit, you can't have the same guy standing next to Basilone that's standing next to Sledge the next day, because they're in different units on different islands. So who gets assigned to which unit and how they get moved around versus A unit and B unit and working days and nights, it becomes extremely complicated. So I had to spend a lot of time with that and working with extras casting. And there were a lot of things that came up during the course of the Pacific that it's good that I was there. I do not think they were typical Warriors Inc. issues. If I may give an example, there was a time when Lecky came into my office, flustered, no shirt, dog tags, and this is a closed set scene. He is with a girl, this Greek girl, on a love scene. And he's like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, what is it? What's going on? And he says, when I lean over to kiss her, these dog tags keep coming down and smacking her in the face. What do you do with your dog tags? So I was like,
you ruck up and you drive on, Julia.
I'm like, this is not the usual question we get, right? As military advisors. So I'm like, okay, let me think this through. I know when you lean down to kiss her, you just take an actorly beat and then take your dog tags off, because this is when you're stopping being a soldier and you're going to be a man. And he goes, I love that. And he runs out. I was like, okay. And another time, Lena and John Bassalone came in and sat down with Dale and myself to have a conversation about what it was like to be a married couple in the Marine Corps, which was quite fascinating, and being married to a Marine and what you did when you were deployed and when you were home and what your relationship was like, because they as actors wanted to talk about that. Of all the people we've trained, we've never trained a married couple to be a married couple. So that was very interesting. So
learning experience on both sides. Yeah.
Yeah. Things come up that are very unexpected, that not every one of the members of our team would necessarily have the same kind of experience we do.
Now, because when I was in the military, I was married to a female soldier. Mm-hmm. We would switch off who would smack the other with their dog tags.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there you go. That's a good answer. It's a good answer. I don't even know if my answer was a good one. It's just the thing that came to mind, because not something you really pre-think about, but now I've got that in my head. But it was fun.
Yeah. Well, I've got two questions here involving two films, because you guys met in 97, or technically 96, right? When they shot Starship Troopers. Mm-hmm. And then in 97, Saving Private Ryan began production.
Right.
Now, what was your involvement with that one?
That was a really busy time. During the same time that Saving Private Ryan was shooting, so was Thin Red Line in Australia. So this Warriors was split into two teams. We ended up with both of them up for Best Picture against each other, and both losing out to Shakespeare in Love. Very strange.
And not a very good film.
I have some theories about that, but it's all very complex. We were on Rules of Engagement when that Oscar was going on. So lots of stuff were going on that year. And while that was happening, I was directing the Terminator 2 stunt show in Japan. So it was, we were definitely being very global at the time.
Right. And busy too. Wow.
And busy. Yeah, that was quite a year.
What was that like, the Terminator 2 stunt show?
I'm sorry, what about it?
What was that like working on that?
I love it. I mean, that had gone on in Florida, it had gone on in Hollywood, where I got involved. It had gone on in Japan, and then ended up leading to a different but similar stunt show in China. And I loved working with Adam Bezark and those shows. It's great. It's so fun to have being able to work with characters like Sarah Connor and John Connor. You don't get to have a mother-daughter teams that often, to have strong female characters like that. And, you know, you learn stuff. Like, I had no idea that liquid nitrogen in Japanese is extra cheese.
What?
I watched this little clip that's in this stunt show 5 million times, and it's dubbed in Japanese. And Arnold Schwarzenegger turns to him and says, "Elentu extra cheese." Watch it, you'll hear it. But apparently, Elentu extra cheese is Japanese for liquid nitrogen. So I will never forget that.
That's weird.
Isn't it just absolutely weird right now that with the Terminator 2, and all the other Terminator movies that have come out, and the first two, of course, being the biggest, in my opinion, that today the big screaming threat is artificial intelligence. Hasn't anybody gone to see those movies?
And I've wanted to talk to you about that before. And so here's our first chance to really talk about this, Julia. What is your reaction to all this AI going on right now? Do you see it as a threat like we do?
Yeah. I definitely see it as a threat. First of all, it's only in the beginning, it's only as good as the people programming it. I don't trust anybody, much less a bunch of computer programmers, on how they're going to set this up. There's bad actors everywhere. So that's definitely worrisome. Giving control of these algorithms that are running our lives, they're already full of bad decisions, corruption. So more and more power being given, decisions being given over to any kind of artificial intelligence is already causing problems. We're already having issues giving over the control of our electrical grid and our aircraft and our weapon systems. It's problematic.
It is Skynet.
It's Skynet. It's going to be more problematic. I think it's very scary. And
if you guys are familiar with the short-lived television series Space Above and Beyond.
Oh yeah.
That Fox ran. Okay. Yeah. Personally, I think that should have lasted for years. It didn't. Fox didn't really back it.
Yeah.
But one of the secondary bad guys in that movie were artificial intelligence androids. And it was a programmer in the series that caused them to go bad by adding to code, take a chance. Okay. That was the code that caused them to basically turn against humanity. Now, honest to God, I could see that happening today.
Of course. And it's certainly through a very common science fiction theme. Data's evil twin brother in Star Trek and the Cylons and Battlestar Galactica. It's been around as long as there have been robots from back to RUR. So that's why there are the laws of robotics, right? That's why Asimov came up with the rules that they're all supposed to follow that they won't. It's definitely frightening. It's definitely problematic. And I don't know how to stop it, because no matter how many things we put around it, there's somebody in a bunker in Barbados right now programming away. And I don't know how you force them to do that, how to follow ethics. You can't, right. I don't know how to stop it. The genie's out of the bottle.
Right.
So
You're
I don't
absolutely correct.
Now, I was curious on one film in particular, because a lot of people don't know this, that in the film Night and Day, Dale Dye is Tom Cruise's father.
I do tease him about that. I say, you must have good genetics, because you could have been Marty Feldman's dad. Somebody thinks you're a good-looking guy.
The question I have is, did Warriors work on that film?
No.
Or was he just cast?
Well, it's not just cast. He was Tom Cruise's dad.
Yeah, he's Tom Cruise's dad. When I saw it, I got to tell you, I think
he was so funny in that. I thought he was hysterical. I think he did a brilliant job. The grumpy
I had no idea that was going to happen, and when it happened, I'm like, and I'm like,
he was like, we won the lottery twice.
I had to call Zoe in to see that. I went, look,
and he was awesome. Actually, can I tell an amusing anecdote about that?
Yes, of course.
Sure.
Something happened on that day on set, which was Dale turned 65 when he was shooting it. This was an important day. And he was low-key about it, didn't tell anybody. but he was in Boston where they were shooting it, and Tom Cruise wasn't there. He was in Italy, I think, shooting something else with Cameron Diaz. So they went to lunch break. He's sitting in the catering tent, eating. And there was an announcement, and everything stopped, and they brought out a cake. And the director said, "This is an important day. Dale Dye turned 65 today. And the reason this is an important day is that as of today, he can no longer be called up to active duty. Up to that point, he was ready reserve. Anytime the government wanted him, he could have been recalled just like that with a phone call. So now he was no longer ready reserve. But the fact that they knew that and acknowledged it and made a point of it, and then there was a video call from Tom Cruise from Italy.
And that's who knew.
That's who knew.
I'm going to tell you right now. That's
of course,
who
but
knew.
it's still pretty cool that they made a deal about it. And it was like, oui,
that's fantastic. I love hearing that. I never knew that. That's great.
Yeah. Tom's heart's in the right place. He's
well, I say all the time, I said,
goofy,
look, every movie he makes is a pre-plan to kill himself. He just somehow lives.
Yeah.
He's absolutely batshit crazy,
correct,
but in a good way.
Yeah, I agree.
In a fun way. And he has a romantic, passionate love affair with audiences.
Oh, for that is absolutely true.
And that's why I will always admire him, because he loves the audience.
He does. As a huge heart,
he remembers,
guy, but he really loves Dale.
And I like that too. It's like I always, because I was having a rough time right when I moved down to Phoenix. Things were going south with me.
Right.
And I woke up one day and I just reminded myself, I said, just when I'm feeling down, I remind myself Dale Dye's in my life. And then you wrote on my page, you're in his life too. And I was just like, oh man, if I was capable of crying, I would cry right now. That was such a lovely thing for you to say. But then I thought, wow, what a shithill I am, because I said that about Dale, not you. And I am grateful every day. And I want you to know how grateful I am I have you in my life.
Well, Gerry, we've established some time ago that you are the premier dick.
I'm a dick.
So, I mean,
it's true. Some people will, even my girlfriend corrects him. She goes, "Oh, Gary's such an asshole." And she goes, "No, he's a dick. He's not an asshole." There's a difference. That. Learn it. But hey, Monkey Jeebus is here. Who else dropped in? Let me see. I always one thing I do, Julie, is I always try to recognize and pay attention to our audience, because if it's not for them, we don't have a show. So we've got Chris DePerno's here.
Yeah.
Oh no, Chris. Wow.
Both Christians.
Yeah, Christian Delorme, our Canadian friend, son is in the military, Canadian military, which, it's a real military. They actually have one up there, I found out. No, they're really good. They have some, I forget the name of it, J something. Their special forces is incredible. And we did a what do you call it? We do our little slideshow where we talk about movies, and we talked about Tears of the Sun. Mm-hmm. And I told people, it's a true story. It just wasn't Navy SEALs. It was Canadian Special Forces. Right. But everything in order happened the way it happens in the movie. The big change was the deaths. They got wounded. They didn't get killed. Nobody on the team. But people were killed. But it was on the opposing side. A lot of them died. But I said, it's a really good film. It's fun doing stuff like that, because a lot of people are unaware that a lot of the films we watch and enjoy, military films, are actually based on actual stories. And I kind of like that, even though I wish they would pay more attention to telling that it was based on true events. Oh, okay. But even like when you go back to Saving Private Ryan, there are so many things that happened in that film that actually really did happen. And this is where I, again, give kudos to Warriors Inc. that the best parts of that movie were actually directed by Dale, all the combat scenes. Yeah, I won't. Yeah, I know you can't say anything. This is me bragging.
Okay.
This is me bragging. But I do know that we wouldn't have gotten Medal of Honor if not for making Saving Private Ryan.
Sure.
which was my favorite video game and got me back into gaming again. And
it was so much fun to work on that. Oh my gosh, that was.
And I love how Dale will pop up also in voices. You were the one that told me he's in Indiana Jones 4.
Yeah, he's the countdown guy.
Countdown guy for the infamous atomic fridge. But what kind of secret stuff do you get to do with these movies that not many people know about?
Well, in Alexander, I got to play the oboe next to Angelina Jolie. That was very exciting. And I'm in like all these publicity stills, and I'm like standing right next to her in her little entourage thing. And every one of them, there's like a person in front of me or a post or a Grecian urn. So I'm like the Austin Powers penis of Alexander. It's like I don't know how they did it. It's so funny. Can I say penis? I'm sorry, dick. Whatever.
Dick. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And the word of today has been said on the show, dick.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's like Groucho Marx's "You Bet Your Life."
Of course.
Well, when you're working on these films, do you guys ever slip anything in, like Disney slips in penises on posters?
Yeah, of course, but we don't do it. We wouldn't do something that crude.
Not that crude, but something like that where you slip stuff in.
Yeah, and there's homages. Some of them are. We tend to do things that are homages, shall we say? Dale just finished working on Kane Mutiny.
I'm looking forward to that.
I think you should, and partly just because it's the last thing that Lance Reddick did, and I love Lance Reddick, and I'm so sad.
The family is saying something's wrong here.
I don't know anything enough to make any.
No, of course not. I don't either. But
wonderfully healthy and delightful on K Mutiny, and that's great. So
he's just a fantastic actor.
Fantastic. He's a brilliant actor. I love him in everything he's done, and I'm so glad that Bill got to work with him.
Don here just got me watching a show that I was probably never going to watch on my own, called The Blacklist.
Oh.
And he's in it.
Well,
he's in
every show I really like. I'm like, it's Fringe. I mean, like all of them. He just shows up, and he's pretty great. So yeah, and I told Dale he had to tell him how much I loved him and appreciated him, and I wanted to have his babies, and he didn't tell him that. So I don't get to have his babies. So, but anyway, what was my point? That was a tangent I went off on.
Just the little things that you might do in a film that ends up on screen.
If you maybe remember, a year ago Christmas, my brother died from COVID.
Yeah.
3 years older than me. So Dale is in the K Mutiny. He's an admiral, and they allowed him to choose his own name, whatever name he wanted to be. So he is Admiral R. Dewey, which is my brother.
That's awesome.
And of course, Dewey being a great naval tradition name. In fact, right here, I have next to me in my office here, you can see this. This happens to be Admiral Dewey's spyglass that I have.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I also heard that we are going to get a sequel to Operation Greyhound.
There are. Well, I don't know how much I can discuss that. I don't know what's.
All I know is the announcement was made is that it did get greenlit.
Yeah, yes, I will confirm that. I will confirm that I have also heard that.
And the only thing I ask is Dale going to be working on that one too with Tom Hanks?
That is my understanding. The discussions.
Yay! That's all I care about.
Contracts are fine, but yes, the discussions are in place. Yeah.
Outstanding. Yeah, I know, because you don't want to ever get in trouble saying.
Well, you just never know.
You don't want to be that kid that plays Spider-Man.
And you don't know. I mean, nothing is 100% in this town, and the day before it's supposed to air, it can be pulled. You know.
Yeah, and it's sort of like
asking me, when's Master of the Air going to be on, and what's it going to be called? I'm like, I don't know. And they still, they don't know until it's on. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows, and it's sort of like what I say about No Better Place to Die. I said, it may seem like it's dead in the water, but I've seen other things come back up. And I
Right.
don't think that Dale and you are ever going to give up on that.
Oh, for sure. We thought a Great Raid that was on the shelf for 4 years back then, which is a great film, but got no publicity because it was in the Miramax split. And
Oh, yeah.
right, so there were like 4 films that were finished, but were sitting. Nobody knew what was going to happen, who owned them. So
Right.
nobody's going to release it because nobody knew where the money was going to go. And so finally, all 4 of them got dumped 1 month, and with no publicity at all. And that was that. Great Raid was one of them. And it's too bad because it's
Which is a great film. I don't think it gets the attention it deserves.
I agree.
And now I am curious,
Mhm.
who gets credited with starting Hollywood Boot Camp?
Well, first of all, you're using the phrase Hollywood boot camp, which is dorky. I
Well,
mean,
I'm dorky.
it's who created it? The Platoon
did
was
it
the
first?
first time when actors were taken to the field.
Because that's what I've said.
Correct. As far as we know. I mean, I can't tell you that it was absolutely never done before, but not that we know of, and not in that way, where they had to live exactly the way they lived, at the time the film is depicting. For that one, it was like 21 days. So,
Yeah, because I heard they did something akin to it for The Boys of Company C, and but later they did something akin to it also with Full Metal Jacket. But the film
sure.
that I was aware of that actually got them in there for was it 4 weeks or 2 weeks? I can't remember. That Dale does that.
My memory says 21 days.
21 days.
So split the difference.
And you can get a lot done because you don't have to go into the classes.
Oh,
A
there's
lot of
plenty of classes, but not as many. No.
Yeah, because
It's
like
really about getting the mind. There's the main thing. You got to get the mind in place. You've got to get the muscle memory so that they can reload. If there's a weapons jam, they don't have to say cut and get the armor in. They can fix it themselves, and that all makes it all look more realistic. If something goes wrong with a weapon and the actor can fix it, it looks so much better.
it's more believable, and you
And it
can leave
looks
it in the
great
film.
than
Yeah.
when every weapon works perfectly the whole time, because we all know they don't. It's a good question. Can I answer?
Oh, yes, go for it. Christian Lorm has a great question. I have a question. Because of Dale's background, does he have some problems with some of the Hollywood types that do not like the military?
Well, because that's like kind of a layered question. One of the people that Dale's closest to in Hollywood that we were kind of just talking about is Oliver Stone. Now, you got to know that they're approaching every single thing on this planet from polar opposite directions, but they're incredibly close. On set, everybody calls them Ho Chi Minh and John Wayne, and I bet you can figure out who's who. He does not mind people who don't like the military. He does mind hypocrites. If you got an issue with the military and you're straightforward about it and you tell him about it and you have passion in what you believe and you want to communicate that, he's got no issue with it. If you decide that because it's trendy to like the military today, you're going to say right after 9/11, but then you're going to stab him in the back a week later because you decide it's icky now, he's not going to have any respect for you. So, and that's probably true on more than one thing. What he doesn't like are hypocrites. He has no problem showing negativity. He's not wanting to make propaganda like Michael J. Fox. Why am I blocking?
Casualties of War.
Casualties of War.
Casualties of War.
Because you don't have to respond to this, but Brian De Palma is a piece of shit commie crap head.
Fine.
I can't stand him.
They certainly exist out there.
Well,
But-
Stone is a piece of shit commie too, but he was a veteran.
And
Yes.
he makes good movies.
There are
He hired Dale Dye.
he most certainly did, and both of them were no ones then. Oliver Stone was known somewhat as a writer, but that was it before Platoon. Oliver brings out, believes in people before they're now trendy. You know, he finds genius in people before they're anybody. The number of actors that came out of Platoon that were no one. Johnny Depp, you know, it's pretty amazing.
Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen.
And
Kevin Dillon.
You remember that I actually knew who Del Dye was before the movies.
Mhm.
So when I saw him in Invaders from Mars,
Right.
I knew who he was. But do you remember why I knew who he was? And part of it's because of my dad.
Go ahead and tell the story. Go.
Soldier of Fortune magazine, man.
Mhm.
He was the senior editor or editor in chief. Which one was it? Senior editor or editor in chief? One or the other.
I think it was editor in chief.
And I remember saying to Dale one day, I said, I was always told it was a front for the CIA. And he goes, And that's all he did when I said that was he made the noise and shook his head up and down and went, oh shit, it was. Oh my God.
Yeah, he certainly spent a lot of time working for that Colorado-based publication out of when he was so busy in Central America. But yeah.
I sent an article into them. They never picked it up when I was a cop.
You should have been a cop CIA. Story. It would have been picked up. One of my favorite, there were two covers for SOF that I loved. One had Arnie on the cover. You remember 1984. And then there was one because of the movie The Big Red One had Lee Marvin on the cover. Those are my two favorite covers, and I still have
Lee
those.
Marvin, yeah.
Yeah, Lee Marvin's one of those people I idolized too growing up because he was a warrior.
Yeah. And he got shot in the butt.
Yeah, it's like if you know the story behind him, it's like he wept as they were taking him off the beach, begging them to leave him because he was the only guy that survived on his team.
Yep.
And wait, Jeff says, Gerry, same here. I remember reading pieces he wrote back in the 80s. Hell yeah. In fact, as I recall, one of the pieces he wrote was about the bombing at the Beirut.
Oh, yeah.
That I read. And I was, I think I was a freshman when I read that article. And that's what became the book, Outrage, which I proudly did the updated cover for. And it's one of my favorite paintings I did because a hippie redneck friend of mine, I had hired an army guy, said he was an army vet, came up there and he kept fingering the trigger. Every time I would take the photo, I said, stop fingering that trigger like it's your girlfriend. And he like, what? And I'm like, I think you're lying. I don't think you know shit about the military. So we finished. I sat around and this redneck hippie buddy of mine was holding my M16, holding it correctly. I had the training one, the big full weight one, Vietnam era.
Right.
And it was the M16A1. And I said, and I had all that gear and I threw the gear on him. We went out in front of my house, took the photo, and that's the painting for the book. It is him. I was just like, friggin' hippie, got it right. Just goes to show you.
That's right.
But I love getting to do those and doing Dale's covers. What was it? The Teardrops one. I did the cover for that. And it's the first time I ever painted the 1,000-yard stare. And I wanted to see if I could depict it. And a lot of guys have told me I got that one right. And I feel good about that. And Outrage were my two favorites that I got to do. And then, of course, Del Vecchio's The 13th Valley, which the publisher of the audiobooks paid me for the cover again on that. So I got paid twice. I can't complain. But I'm sad about some covers because, like, there's a cover to one of your books that you took off the out of the bookstore. And I hope you bring it back one day, the sci-fi one.
Oh, it's back in.
Oh, is it back in there? Oh, I need to go look for that because I was like, I'm so proud of it.
I do the royalties on the 15th of the month, and I did the report, and it's one sold. I think it's the only one in 10 years.
Holy crap!
I know.
Great.
I was like, holy moly!
I like the cover.
I love the cover. I asked you once ages ago if I could have a poster size to put up in my office because just
shit, I would do that anytime. Yeah, I'll get that printed.
I love it.
Yeah. I still have it. And what I love about that one is it is technically the most money I ever made on a cover because I painted it in 1 hour.
I know, which is amazing.
Did a speed painting.
So awesome.
And because I was curious, could I do a speed painting? I'm like, holy shit, I know how to do a speed painting.
And you did it well.
And it looked good. And I'm like, holy shit. I'll never do it again because I like putting the time into my covers and really drawing stuff. Like this latest cover is like, oh my God. I put so much into that. And if you notice, I fixed it on the last run. I forgot to put the reflection of the vehicle in. And I put the reflection of that vehicle. What was that? A Wrangler?
Yeah.
What was it?
It was Land Rover. Land Rover. And I love that. The only thing wrong in that painting, and I'm going to gladly point it out to you, the light source is correct on everything but the hut. But that's I thought that was some sort of divine.
It's God. It is. It's
divine,
God.
And that was what you were trying to show, the sort of spiritual nature. That's just
when you like, because I know I've never put myself in a position of being privy to your conversations. I try not to, but there has to have been some stuff where Dale talks to you about stuff. And has he talked to you much about his experiences in Vietnam?
Yes.
And what was the impact? Do you feel like, I feel that would help you bond more because of who you are?
Yes. Oh, sure. Of course. It's true in any relationship of as you discuss the things that make you the most vulnerable, that's how intimacy develops. So,
well, I think there are things that I've discovered, and you tell me if it's true, that with many of the veteran friends of mine, there are things that they will talk about with a spouse where they won't talk to others about it because they feel safe.
Yeah, well, one hopes. There's also things they'll talk about with their veteran buddies that they won't talk about with their spouse. Because of a different kinds of. And I think as a spouse, you also have to respect that. There's a different kind of intimacy that happens in combat. You know, you've got somebody who's 18 years old and the most impressionable and put into a situation that intimacy develops in combat. And I'm not talking about anything with sexuality or romance, but there's an intimacy of combat because of that vulnerability. And so that's a different thing than a spouse. And there needs to be respect both ways of what happens on this side and what happens on this side. You know, just as I have in my past, having dealt with cancer, having dealt with the other things in my life that have been
most recently with your mom.
And profound and intimate, right? That having somebody to share that with makes our bond closer and allows me a safe place to be vulnerable.
Yeah, so, you and I, when we talk a lot, we complain about our bodies.
Well, right, because they suck. And they're trying to kill us while we're not looking.
It's like, well, what's hurting you today? I got to tell you, my lumbago.
I know, right?
I do tell people that you are technically a dangerous nerd, not just because you work for Warriors Inc., but you are also part of the Coast Guard Auxiliary.
Correct.
And so you have served your country and you're still in it, aren't you?
I am officially, as of about a month ago, I'm officially retired
from
the Coast Guard Auxiliary.
Because what do they do in ranking?
Flotillas here in Lockhart, Texas.
Oh.
So I was on the national staff.
Okay.
Up till
2
months ago.
I'm sorry, but we must go to our break.
I know we got to go to commercial break here
time.
In a moment. Julia, will you be sticking around for a few more minutes before you leave, or do you need to go?
It would be best if I go, unless you need me to wrap something up.
No, I want to tell you that I love you.
I love you too, Gerry.
And I'm so grateful you're here. And now I feel like I can have Dale on. Because I was not going to do it without you coming on first, because you don't get the love you deserve.
Thank you.
Thank
well,
you
Julia, it was a real Julia, it was a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. I enjoyed meeting you.
All right, we're going to go to commercial break. We'll be right back, but without Julia. Thanks. Hi, guys. This is Gerry from Pop Culture Minefield here on KGRA, and we're leaving for our first break. I hope we survive.
Did you know 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated? If you struggle with focus, run low on energy, or when it's time to finally sleep, you simply can't, this can all be linked to dehydration, and Fuel Up has the answer. Our proprietary formula contains the finest cellular hydration with the strongest immune-enhancing natural ingredients. The Fuel Up system is made up of 3 different incredibly tasting varieties. Wake kickstarts your day with a jolt of caffeine. Play boosts focus while hydrating your cells. Rest not only helps you relax, but also rejuvenates your cells while you sleep. Here's what our clients have to say.
I really don't miss my coffee, and you can tell the difference.
So I'm gonna take it for the energy. I'm gonna take it for the play. I'm gonna take it, all day.
And it works. That's the thing. It works. We love it.
Take the Fuel Up Challenge now, where we offer a Feel the Difference money-back guarantee. Fuel Up for life.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Oh, wow. We survived. Welcome back to the commercial break. Now for some more pop culture minefield on KGRA. Wow, wow, wow. God, she's so
You got to send an invite to Chris.
Martin, can you do that real quick? Are you connected with him?
I don't know if we're following each other.
Hold on. Let me see. I hate opening other browsers because it can impact how my video goes, but I'll do it. Let's see. Hopefully it's not screwing us up. Let me find Chris. But there he is, Chris DiPerno. I send him an invite. And boom. Invites. Oh, wait. No, that's the wrong one. I sent you the wrong one, Chris. I sent you the wrong link. Hold on. Present. Invite. There it is. Invite. But Julie is such a great guest. She and I have had hours of conversations. And there are moments when I look at everything that we've ever talked about, I still have only scratched the surface of knowing each other. And I love finding out little bits of information about her like that. But she really is the backbone of both companies, the publishing end and the Hollywood end of Warriors. And they're changing, by the way, she just told me that they're changing the legal name of Warriors Inc. And I can't remember what it is. I think they're calling it Warriors Global Inc. now, is what they legally changed the name to. So they can widen their market of who they work with. They want to work with other countries that make military films, offer their services. And I know a few countries like Korea could really benefit from it because sometimes I have problems with some of their military accuracy in their military films. But you said no, I didn't send him nudes, Shanatsky. Shut up. But I did. I sent Chris the link to join us if he wants to. I will tell you that next week's going to be fun. We have this guest that's going to join us next week, Zach Ward. He played Scoot Farkas in A Christmas Story. That's where he got his big break. But he's actually done a lot of cool stuff. He's done a lot of independent films, producing his own stuff. And he's a lot of fun. He's a great guy. I've been wanting to work with him on a book for years. He had this idea for a Bigfoot book for kids that dealt with a Bigfoot family. And I'm like, I'm in. I'm in. I love Bigfoot stories.
Well, speaking of Bigfoot.
Oh, no.
Speaking of. I watched a movie last night.
Oh, God.
The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then Bigfoot.
Sam Elliott. That's a weird movie, but it's really good. But it is really weird, too. I mean, it is a
Wait a minute. I got you. Hold on. I got you on two different.
Yeah, shut YouTube off, man.
I know,
you're like those callers that call in and leave their radio on.
YouTube hates my guts, so I'm pretty sure it wasn't YouTube. No, I was watching your show, and where's Julia? The only reason I came on the show is not to talk to you two guys. I wanted to talk to Julia.
Well, tough shit.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
Anima,
promised
Bailey
her-
sends her regards to you, hon.
Oh my
Julie
God.
was nervous about doing. She's because this is like the latter part of the day. She gets up at 0:30, and I told her if you need to bail out, you bail out.
Yeah.
Just stick around for the hour. And she was fine. She offered me I could push her to stay, but I'm not going to do that with Julie. I love her too much. And when I say I love her, I love her. She and Dale are part of my family. They are the grandparents to my daughter. So,
Wow.
Dale, I love it when they talk. And Zoe did this thing. It was hilarious years ago. I was on a conference call and it got recorded. I'm on a conference call and she comes up behind me and puts an M1 helmet on my head and grabs a pistol belt and slams me in the head with it, knocking my head sideways. And she jumped up in the camera and goes, "You just got Dale Dyed."
I got to tell you, she seems like such a wonderful lady. And she was so open and honest about what she was saying about things. I had to ask her that question because I'm a big Dale Dye fan. I think he's been fantastic. I loved him in Casualty of Wars, Platoon.
I hate that movie, but I liked him in the film.
Well,
and he does have a rule, by the way, Chris. Even though he'll work on films that he doesn't agree with, he says, as long as you don't disparage the military, I will work on your film. And that is why he was the military advisor for Operation Tropic Thunder, but he refused to play the part of Nick Nolte's character because he felt that character was disparaging to military vets.
No, and kudos to him because when you get to a certain point where you're a military icon like he is, I mean, people look up to him to represent all of us. Guys like Don Eckert, he's a military icon, and I'm not trying to, put you there, Don, but I mean, let's face it, you have done exceptionally brave things in your military career. You have, taken bullets for us. They may have entered your body, but you took them on behalf of protecting us. And that's what people don't realize is that, all these veterans that come back from these wars, Gerry, yourself, have scars. And these scars take
No, not me. Not me.
Well,
I served, but I
served.
didn't go into combat.
But you must have some kind of scars somewhere along the line.
Yeah, my stuff comes really because I did get shot at in the military, but it's a friendly fire situation, so it doesn't count.
You know what? A gunshot is a gunshot is a gunshot.
Oh, look, the only way I can tell that story is to admit I pissed myself when it happened because it's funny. It is funny. It's hilarious, but I'm not going to go into it. But I did piss myself. But it's so weird. I didn't lose my cool. The reason I pissed myself is because I thought I got hit. Our machine gunner tackled me, and when I saw stars, that it was a white hot heat that hit my neck, and I thought, oh, my entire body relaxed and I evacuated.
Well, my attitude's always been it may have been friendly fire, but if somebody was shooting at me,
it sure don't feel
duty
friendly.
bound to shoot back.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a friendly bullet. I have
Yeah,
not.
it's like
Okay,
and that's how I got shot. The one time I got shot was by a buddy of mine who accidentally shot me with a .22 cap.
Yeah, so I mean, the bottom line is bullets aren't bad or good; they're all bad. There's no difference in them that way. But I will tell you, when I was at the embassy one time, when we were taking fire and everything else. I mean, here's an 18-year-old kid on the second floor, knowing that there's sniper fire can be put in there. I was thinking, you know what? Maybe if I rip up this carpet and I go under the carpet, maybe I won't get shot. So here's this 18-year-old kid trying to pull up the carpet, and this sergeant comes by, and he goes, "Chris, what are you doing?" "I'm going to hide under the carpet." And he kind of looks at me, he goes, "Oh my God, get your ass up to the third floor and get on the roof and start throwing tear gas." So I mean, it was like, all these things would happen in the military. So people don't understand that these guys aren't doing it for glory. They're not doing it for enrichment. They're doing it to protect the country, to protect people at that country that sometimes hates them.
I always
and when
look
it
at it
gets
this
to-
way.
Oh,
I
sorry.
was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Well, Don, I was going to say that to you. It's like every single buddy of mine that's been wounded in combat says one thing in common, that I did something stupid just before getting hit. And it's like I laugh about it, including Mike, who's been on here. He was hit 5 times, like really rapid succession, and he's trying at one point to return fire, and his wound, he's in shock. He can't, his elbow's gone, and his arm is just dangling, and he's trying to figure out why he can't lift his weapon, and he's just like trying to throw his arm up to get to his weapon. It's like the insanity of that, not realizing that you're not going to be able to fire your weapon now. Your arm is no longer working, but listening to him tell that story was something else. But I also want to point out, in a few days we're going to have this show. We've got can we drop that? There we go. We've got Dave Boone Benton, a sniper that was in Benghazi, as well as Sarah Adams, the CIA analyst who did the main investigation into Benghazi. She has got some alternate views on things than from what we perceive. I don't totally agree with her, and I do know that I can't hold it against her because she's still active in the CIA, so she has to watch how she says things publicly. And but
normally I would have something to say, but I'm going to bite my tongue.
Well, yeah, and I'm always cognizant. I don't know about you, Don, but I'm assuming you are too, that I watch what I say. Like with Julia, I have to be careful when I criticize Hollywood people because she still works with those people. And so, you'll notice she didn't respond. And I said, I'm saying this, you're not saying it. See, they won't fire me for my opinions, but I have very strong opinions about Steven Spielberg, Oliver Stone. Spielberg doesn't know how to show honor to anyone other than a World War II veteran or World War II soldiers. He will not show honor towards any other war.
I agree with you, Gary, because I highly disagree. Because here's the thing about the servicemen after World War II. This is no disrespect because I highly regard World War II veterans, but remember, after a certain time during Vietnam, it stopped. The draft stopped, and you could have said, Nixon, "I'm not going." And just like you, just like me, we thought military service was to us something to be proud of, and that's why I didn't get drafted. I volunteered, and you have to look at that person who says, "Yeah, what an active war going on." Vietnam was still going on. There was problems in the Middle East and everything. But you look at Iraq, you look at Afghanistan. These guys said, no, I have to step up to the plate. You got to give them a lot of credit because they could have taken another route and they didn't. They stepped up to the plate and says, it's time for me to put my cash in the game.
Amen, Chris. Amen.
Thank you.
And it's funny you brought up the whole draft thing because I remember I was sitting in not my living room, my girlfriend's living room, Patty, who I'm still close friends with. She and I were talking, and I said, I'm going to run by the house and pick up my mail. And my buddy John McGrath was with me. And so we went in the living room, and I had gotten the mail and was sitting there on the sofa reading it. And there was this government envelope that I thought, oh no, I'm being audited again. Because I'd just gone through an audit. And then I thought, what a weird part of the year. It's May. I'm like, why would I be audited this late in the year? But okay, so I open it up, and it's not. It's from Selective Services, telling me that in a few days, I'm going to be 26 and no longer have to update Selective Services with my address. I'm no longer eligible to be drafted if a draft is reinstated. And I sat there and I looked at John and I'm like, oh my God, I just assumed one day a war would break out and I'd get drafted, And I'm 26 now. I'm like Bill Murray in Stripes. And the military considered me technically too old to sign up. But that's what I did. I went with John. He went with me to the recruiter, and I signed up at the age of 26 because I'd gotten that notification that day. And it was so weird. I thought for sure a draft would come back. It just seemed natural.
I think
all the men in my family were drafted.
Yeah. But I'm going to tell you, Gary, I think you're spot on because I think the draft is going to come back.
It needs to come back, even if it's not for just the military. I think every single American, male and female, should. Keith just walked in, by the way. Hey, buddy. But basically, every American should serve their country in some fashion.
I think so.
2 years.
Well, the ladies basically brought it upon themselves. Okay. I think today, I think that would be an excellent idea. If they were going to draft men, draft the ladies too.
Sure, why not?
And the armed forces is bleeding people leaving. They are bleeding. Yeah. If something happened today, Chris, we would be SOL.
We're going to have something happen because China has already said, and this is the funny part, they're not denying it. They're saying, yeah, we're going to go to war. We're getting ready for war. And nobody's listening. It's like, the sky is falling. The sky is falling. And somebody's going, no, it's not, until it hits you in the head. I mean, Xi Jinping has said, hey, we're going to war. Did I lose everybody?
No.
Okay, I'm like, holy crap, I'm here on my own, and I got to go soon. And but you're right. You're right, Don. I mean, we're in a sad situation, and people don't realize the military has never been in a sad situation. You know, as I know, you're sitting in a foxhole, you're taking fire, you're in a situation where your life is on the line. You've been there, I've been there. You know, I've never been in a foxhole, but I've been in a situation where we were going to die. You don't care if he's a lesbian, a transvite, or this. All I know is that guy's going to cover my back, and I'm going to cover his. I don't give a
God, I hope he cleaned. I hope my battle buddy cleaned his freaking rifle.
Yes, exactly. That's have you got an? I remember saying to my partner, "Have you got enough shotgun shells in case we need them?" I didn't ask him and say what kind of panties he's wearing today. I could care less. I mean, Jesus. But that's how they think the military is now, that, oh, we must make these guys. When the shit hits the fan, Don, nobody cares where you come from, what your beliefs are, anything.
You're preaching to the choir, buddy.
Yep. And this is what perception people have to understand. Military people, they can't be woke. They can't be pacifists. You are training military people to fight a war and destroy the enemy. There's no, okay, we're going to arrest the enemy. We're going to stop the enemy. In a war, you destroy the enemy.
Well, here's where I'm at right now. And honest to God, it pains me to say this, but I think we are on the road to getting our asses kicked in a big freaking way. That's where I'm at.
Well, my daughter, my wonderful daughter, who came over to the house with my grandbaby the other day, she goes, "Dad, what do you think we should do to prepare for what's happening?" And I said, "Start learning Chinese." And that's I'm telling you, people are not waking up. They're doing all kinds of things, and we're just like sitting back going, yeah, okay, whatever. I don't know. Did you hear the Arrow hearing today, Don? Did you hear that Sean Fitzpatrick at the Arrow hearing? Don? Well, folks, I guess I'm either not here or I am here.
I think
there we are.
I think he froze.
Oh, there we are. You guys are going to leave me here all alone.
No, I'm here, buddy. I'm here.
Okay. No, anyways, did you hear about the Arrow hearing today?
Negative.
Okay, so the Arrow hearing was about the unidentified aerial phenomenons that are going on. And they had Sean Fitzpatrick, who was working he's the head of Arrow for the U.S. government. And I was totally, absolutely amazed because two things he said that really struck out. And one is he said there is absolutely no evidence of extraterrestrials. We have seen absolutely none. Says that right in front of Christian Gillibrand. And I go,
Bullshit.
Oh, wow, you know that and I know that, but he does say that. But the other remarkable thing he says saying, the Chinese are either on par or advanced in technology-wise, and that this stuff we're seeing may actually be Chinese. He does put that out there. And then he turns around and he says, gives a reason why he thinks that might be is because some of the signature stuff, because he says countries like China and other advanced countries have their own DARPA. And these DARPAs are getting highly advanced, highly technical, where we're not. He says the Chinese have they're putting out twice as many PhDs, astrophysicists, everything than we are. They are doing, and they're laser focused. They're laser focused on advanced intelligence and everything else. So I can tell you this, that if this is true, we're in a world of hurt. If what he's saying is true, now I got to take what he says with a grain of salt, but if the Chinese are that much advanced, we're gonna. You're right, Don. You're absolutely right. We're in a world of hurt. We might get our asses kicked.
Well, I'll tell you, it's going to be interesting. I still have my faith in one arm of our nuclear triad. Okay. And that's our submarine, our attack submarine fleet. Those guys are good.
Yes, they are.
They are good. And each of those boats, and yeah, you call submarines boats. Each of those boats, each missile has multiple warheads on it that can be independently programmed. So if something were to happen, let's say, for example, we got nailed with a massive EMP discharge or something like that, that would knock down most of the civilian infrastructure in this country. All right. Now I know where I'm at. I know that would be one of them. The LA area. Hey, if something happens, brother, we are toast. But the submarines are still out there, still sailing. And I think they would make them pay for that.
But Don, do we see? Here's the thing that everybody, and I agree with you. Thank God for the submarines. But if you have a strong conventional warfare system, a strong military boots on the ground, weaponization, advanced technology, you don't have to go nuclear. Because people say, we've got the military, we've got the Marines, we got the Army, we got the Air Force, we got them, and they will kick ass. And you want that type of military structure because only in desperation would you want to take nuclear weapons, put them on the table. See, even Putin hasn't done that.
But he's threatened it. He's threatened it, Chris.
Why?
And I'm apt. I'm apt to take the man at his word.
Well, yeah, he's a nutcase. There's no question about that. But the question is, he still hasn't done it yet, and that's because his military, from those leaked documents, I haven't seen any of them. I don't want them because then I'll have the FBI knocking on my door. But apparently, he's not doing as bad as everybody says he is over in Ukraine.
No. Well, I got to tell you and I learned this through years of well, basically just living. Years of publishing the magazine we published, years of when I was on the street as a cop. I don't believe anything I hear, Chris, and only a fraction of what I actually see today.
Yeah.
Okay. That's life in a nutshell for me. I've become a cynic, brother. I have become a cynic.
But how could you not be a cynic with everything that's going on? I mean, every night the news reports say, and you being a cop and me being a cop, retired cops, every night the news say, well, the crime in Los Angeles, the crime in New York, the crime in DC is not bad. They're exaggerating numbers. But then you see video of about 500 teenagers destroying Chicago, or you see a video in Campton, in California, destroying a store. I mean, it's not, they just said, hey, let's go in and loot this place. And you're powerless. It's like you're dealing with remember the old Western, the cowboys, they come in, they take everything and they leave you with nothing. They burn the homestead down. That's what you feel like that's what you're dealing with now. I think Don froze up again.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, I think
Hello?
it's froze again. Hey.
Can you hear me?
Hello, you talk. Yes, we
can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can. Okay. I started to say, I think we are on the verge of the rise of vigilantism.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But Don, that you don't want that, because that means your society structure has broken down. If people, the day that you start having gunfights out, and they're happening, this is what's happening. It's not like we're saying, well, hopefully this doesn't happen. In Chicago, they're having gunfights out in the middle of the street.
Well, I'll give you a very and in the scheme of things, this ain't much when it comes to crime, but I was a victim a couple of months ago of a truck. My neighbors next door were doing some building. They had construction people in there for weeks and weeks. They brought a cement truck down, and the cement truck, this thing was the size of an M1A1 Abrams tank. Okay, that's how damn big it was. We've got little narrow trails in front of my house, and this truck hit my wall and split it in two concrete blocks. Okay, and then they denied they hit it. So we're covered by the LA Sheriff's Department. So I called them up, and they said, well, let's see. You say a truck hit your wall, huh? Well, we're going to turn this over to the California Highway Patrol. And I said, wait a minute, you guys are the Sheriff's Department. Well, yeah, but because of blah, blah, blah. So Chippy came out here, California Highway Patrol. I went out and I talked to him. I showed him the damage, blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, okay. Well, I said, well, what are you going to do? Well, the bottom line was they didn't do shit. Okay. They didn't do shit. And they passed it off.
Yeah.
Well, I ended up having to take care of it. And I did. My stepson is a lawyer. I called him up. I talked to him, got some advice. Then I called our neighbor, told them what happened, blah, blah, blah. They came over, looked at it. Well, they ended up fixing it. It got fixed, okay, which was the good thing. But the bad thing was I saw our law enforcement today in action. And it was abysmal failure, Chris.
But Don, they're scared. I've talked to cops because my show, and I'm going to have it on here in about another 45 minutes. They're scared. They go, I've talked to several cops say, we want to do the right thing. We want to do things. But every time we turn around, we're in internal affairs and they're headhunting us. Even when we do the right thing, they're still coming after us. So it's got to the point where they say, I can't do anything. My hands are tied. And that's just a terrible thing.
I agree.
You know, it wasn't like years ago, like when, look, I've said this before. Police work has changed. It's evolved over the years, and some good and some bad. But you know, I used to be on the street just like you, and you know, we would not allow the things that are happening now. If there was a group of kids and they were bothering people in front of a bodega or a store or something, I'd pull up in a car and I tell them all, I says, I'm going to go around the block. And if you guys are still here, one of you are coming with me. That means I'm taking one of you to jail. And then after I'm done, I'm going to come back. And if you're still here, another one of you are going to come. And of course, they're always going to test you. And I'd go around the block. And sure enough, they were still standing here. I had the city ordinance that said, hey, you're not allowed to congregate in front of a store that sells liquor, which they didn't know, but I knew the laws. I'd hook up one of them. You're under arrest. I drag him to the car. And the others are going, holy crap, he really means what he says. I said, this is my sector. You belong to me. And you're going to do what I tell you to do if you're in my sector causing a problem. And you know what? There were people on the porch clapping, saying about time.
You couldn't get any backup?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we had tons of backup and stuff. That's not a problem. But the idea was that you enforced law and order and people stood behind you. The community stood behind you. You don't have that now. When the pandemic was going, remember, people would come open their windows and they were clapping at New York City police officers, cheering them on. Yeah, you brave souls. As soon as the Democrats in New York started saying, hey, the pandemic's over, all of a sudden they changed the narrative and say how terrible these cops are all over the place. You know, nothing changed for what their tactics were. They didn't change anything from during the pandemic till after the pandemic.
Well, it's like going fishing, okay? When you catch the fish and you hang it up, what happens? It starts rotting from the head down. And look at the leader, the so-called leadership in LA or New York City, the leadership, the mayor, the district attorney. I mean, you look at what a useless bunch that those guys are, turning criminals loose. You know, just this morning I was reading another article. Do you remember that guy last year? He had I think he was working in a parking garage. And anyway, some guy came in, with his girlfriend trailing, and for no reason, jumped over this guy's countertop, attacked him, was trying to stab him. The guy was stabbed by this jerk's girlfriend, and he ended up killing the guy.
Yeah, in the bodega.
Right. And what happened? They ended up charging him with murder.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, they dropped charges. There was such an outcry. And they didn't even charge this perpetrator's girlfriend.
Nope.
Okay. Nope. They didn't even charge. And she attacked this guy with a blade.
Yeah. He got stabbed. He actually got cut and stuff. Yeah. Listen, Don, I have to go because I got to get ready for my own show. But thank you for having me on. Martin, as always, thank you. Gerry, if you can hear me, thank you. I'll see you guys later.
Okay, buddy. Good show. Break a leg. Well, guess what, Martine? You're going to have to fill in until our illustrious co-host gets back. Martine,
okay.
Are you there?
Let's do that.
Okay, buddy.
Yeah.
So what do you think about what we've been discussing? Yeah, I hear you fine. What's been going on? so far this show? Got any thoughts?
Oh man. On the show or the last subject we're talking about?
No, anything. I mean, what the
Hello.
hell? We got to fill up some time here, pal.
Oh, anything. Oh well. I have this.
You know, they
for
say
from
radio,
Penny, and I
radio,
will
the
let you.
biggest.
What happened to
Oh.
Chris?
He has a show to do.
Oh shit, that's right. He's got to get ready for that, and we're dealing with a power issue here. Something went off, and this house is wired weird. It's like old. I mean, how old are the fuse boxes? It's got the little glass round ones, and badly wired. You can't run three things together. You cannot run the dishwasher, the microwave, and the washer or dryer at the same time. It will knock everything out. And some reason, just running the microwave by itself this morning for doing the show knocked it out just by itself. And I'm like, what the hell? You know, the wiring. So Keith is here. Instead of doing a show, he's here to try to deal with it for me because we're doing the show.
Say hello to him, please.
I did.
Yes.
I already did.
Say hello to him.
Say hello to my little friend. And but anyway,
It's not little.
so what was Chris talking about? I caught some of it. That and you said something about the fish. That was it. I like that little comparison. That you know, it begins to die from the head downward.
Yeah.
And begins.
Well, we were talking about New York City leadership.
Yeah.
L.A., Los Angeles leadership. Okay.
In the military, what do we refer to that
chaos.
is losing initiative.
No.
You lose initiative when you.
They didn't lose initiative, dude. They throw it away.
Yeah.
They throw it away.
So it's a mess up there. It really is. And it's not just there. Newsom with California. What a garbage fire. It's a dumpster fire in California.
Yeah.
And what's worse, the only people who can really seem to do anything about it is Northern California. And what they need to do is secede from the rest of the state and become Northern California, their own state.
Well, yeah, but you got Cisco up there.
I said they'll kick it. They'll leave that as part of Southern California.
Yeah, San Francisco, and that place is beyond. That place is well beyond. I can remember when I first.
Hello?
San
I
Francisco.
think Thomas froze. You're muted, Gerry.
He's back. He's back.
I didn't know I
For
left.
a second, Don. Yeah, you froze up.
Oh, okay. I can remember going through San Francisco and Treasure Island, going over to Southeast Asia, but I had never really spent any time there. So we went up there, and I got to say, the 3 or 4 times we had gone to San Francisco, every time we went up there, we had something crappy happen. We had a car stolen one time up there. It was a Hertz rental, and we had some, some other things, and I just didn't like San Francisco. I just didn't like it. But in recent years, it's gotten beyond horrible. Okay, you talk about a dumpster fire. Now the city council, of all people, want to start giving out reparations based on your skin color, upwards of $5 million per recipient. Now, Gerry, I got to ask you, does that make any bloody sense at all?
No, it doesn't. None whatsoever.
And where's the money going to come from?
And that's the thing. This is something you and I talk about ad nauseum, is that my problem with the left is they think that the government has the money. It's like, no, that's not your money. That's our tax dollars. You have zero. No government has money. They may make the money, but it's not theirs. And this is where they cause inflation and shit like that by overproducing dollars, and it's just a fucking mess. It really is. But by the way, I did want to point out that the new episode of Skinwalker, new season, aired. And so I was going to say next Wednesday, we can start talking about Skinwalker Ranch again. Woo-hoo. I love that show. I know Don loves talking about it. You can tell. Look at that face. He's so excited.
Yeah, he's just talking about it. Come on, don't laugh. Laugh.
I got some Skinwalker stories, you sons of bitches. I got some Skinwalker stories. Okay,
amen to that. But I got to keep muting because right now Keith is on the phone. He's talking about Kansas City. Look, everybody knows that the problem with the state of Missouri is our electoral college doesn't work right, because the minute Kansas City and St. Louis vote, everybody else in the state gets overthrown. And those are absolutely the blue cities in the state. So Missouri's effed. That's why we're purple on the map. It's because of St. Louis and Kansas City. Sad they do that. Cleaning out massive homeless camps here. Yeah, because they started doing something similar to that here in Springfield. And we have a homeless problem here in Springfield. It's bad. And my problem is it goes from ignoring it to authoritarian. And it just looks like something out of a Nazi propaganda film.
Mostly economic or drug and alcohol abuse or mental
Ours is a mix of all three. Because we have a lot of mentally ill on the streets here. I would say a bulk of the homeless people have mental illness problems. I would say a good percentage of them have booze and chemical issues. But a lot of it also is, we have some homeless vets here. And I believe that when you have homeless vets in your society, you've got a real problem. That, the people who gave the most for their country should not be homeless.
Now, here's the next question. And I feel exactly the same way you do about that. But I have had people come up to me panhandling, telling me that they're a homeless vet. Really? And just automatically out of my mouth, well, where'd you do your basic? Oh, what was your unit in basic? Now mine was Echo Company 2nd Battalion 3rd Brigade. All right, E23. That was my basic. And when you start asking them, you hone in on questions like that, a lot of times they'll freeze up. Okay, so the guy is full of shit. So how do you tell?
Well, I know that I just automatically assume they're lying. Everything. We have panhandlers here, and there's legally allowed to be in certain spots and not legally allowed to be in some spots. One of the most annoying ones is stoplights. Is they'll sit on the median and panhandle from there, which is really weird. And whenever I see someone that says they're a veteran, I just give them the once over, and because I look for military bearing. There's something about military vets. They tend to have a military bearing about them. And if I don't see that immediately, I automatically assume they're full of shit and they're lying. But with panhandlers, I think it's probably smart to always assume they're lying. Because we learned about, what was it, a decade ago, there are people out there that make a living doing this. They actually go out there and panhandle for a living.
Right.
They when they're done, it's a job. They go, put their normal clothes back on and get in their car and drive home. And they've done exposés on these little sons of bitches. So I don't trust them. I've had a rule since the 1990s that if I run into somebody who's poor, that's panhandling, I will not give them money. I never give them money. What I do is I feed them. I'll go and get them some food. Get them something to drink. Make sure they're hydrated. I will never give money to anybody except for a charity that I know is established.
Does that mean I can get a free lunch out of you, dude?
Fuck yeah, you could. I always go get KFC. It's one of my favorite things to do, just because KFC is so satisfying. But now KFC is so expensive, man. It's like 3 times the price of any other fast food place getting chicken. But I know what you're talking about, like basic training. Here, I'm going to show you something like this is, you never forget your basic training platoon. Never. The company. Present, share. I have this photo all the time, and I share it with people. I was with Bravo 410 at Fort Leonard Wood, and that's us. And if you're curious which one I am, I'm the second tallest in the company. All the tall guys are on the very back line. This is the guy that tried to grab me during that fight, and I threw him. And that's me right there, the other giant head. And a bunch of my best friends are all up in the front here because they're all short fuckers. But that's them, man. Fort Lost in the Woods, Missouri, and Bravo 410. And it's gone now. Bravo 410 was made defunct in the last 10 years. Doesn't even exist anymore. They're ending a lot of careers in the military. The worst was under Bill Clinton. He shut down entire forts.
Oh, yeah.
Including one of my favorite, the Presidio.
Yeah.
That place had history, and he shut it down. I mean, Sean Connery made a movie there.
What do you want from a fucking draft dodger? God damn it. Come on. And a wannabe, a quote unquote, air quotes, wannabe Marine he was married to.
Yeah.
Remember?
Oh,
she was going to join the Marines.
Yeah. That's what we do. Yeah, whatever. Remember when, this is why I hated her. I've never really had much of a beef with Bill Clinton politically, because I thought he went down the middle of the aisle on a lot of stuff and got along with Republicans as well as.
Well, he knew he had to.
But she, on the other hand, did things, and what she did that upset a lot of active duty people, because I was still active duty when this happened. She demanded that the Marines running security in the White House not wear their uniforms. And the Marine Corps said, no, they will continue. They're not Secret Service. They're Marines, and they're going to continue wearing their uniforms. There's, yes, you're the wife of the commander in chief, but even he won't give that order because he knows better. Marines are too damn proud. And right then and there, I disliked her. I started disliking her over that. And then I found out more about her. Yeah, in their relationship, I always felt she was the bad guy. I always liked Bill Clinton. I can't help it. I just like him. Didn't vote for him, but I liked him. I always vote for Ross Perot.
Actually, I fucking voted for Ross Perot.
Damn Skippy, man. That guy was crazy.
So did my wife. Okay?
He was crazy in an amazing way, man. And you could not find a more patriotic dude. That guy was all America. All about it, man. He used his own money to try to rescue.
HW and old Dano just didn't have it for me.
Nope, me either. Nope. I did not like GW. Hell, I didn't like GH. I couldn't stand the guy. I told people, look, man, he was the head of the CIA, and you never leave that job. Even if you become vice president or president, you still have those connections. So when he said he was unaware of stuff, he is one, A, too stupid to be president of the United States, or B, he's lying and doesn't deserve to be president of the United States.
Of course he was lying.
Of course he was. Absolutely. He was good at his job at the CIA. If you look back at what he did, man, I'm not saying he's a good guy. He was good at his job. I think George Bush was not a very good guy, and I just don't like him. Reagan I liked. Bush I did not. And George Bush, they call him Junior, but he's not. He's got different initials. GW, I just didn't like him.
They called him the Shrub.
The Shrub. Sorry,
yeah,
guys.
You had the Bush and you had the Shrub.
Bush and the Shrub. One thing I didn't like about GW is that he hired Cheney, a Nixon appointee. This guy worked with Nixon, and he was a scummy dude. He was a scummy dude. I never liked him. Look, man, if you are vice president of the United States and your one job is to sign letters going out to family of soldiers who were killed in combat, and you can't even do that, and you got to hire one of those machines that's in the White House that does your signature for you, You, sir, are not worth being in that position.
Right.
That is one job you should relish to have to do. You may be embarrassed and ashamed of yourself doing it, but you better do it. And
here's the other thing. In this regard, I am an elitist. All right. The only thing I'm an elitist about. But none of those none of those sons of bitches served. Okay. They didn't serve. None of them. They got their goddamn draft deferments or whatever it was. And they got out. They got out of the rat race, as it were. So boy, I don't know, Martin. Well, he's been abandoning us. I feel like the little kid lost in the big supermarket. Okay, where's my daddy? Where's my daddy?
Oh well, he's trying not to get fried, fixing some electrical issues. So let's hope everything goes okay.
Yeah. Or suddenly we'll see a puff of smoke. Uh-oh. That could not be good. That could not be good. But anyway, I don't know. Hell, we're just about at the end of the trail here, bud.
Yeah, well, like 10 minutes or so. Yeah, like 9 minutes. So
yeah, that's what Mickey says on my watch.
Yeah, Joe's and that's Wolf, and they're having a nice chat about T-shirts, about political T-shirts, and I like this one.
My political. I smell commies.
I smell commies. Oh my god! We got it working, guys. We got the fuse fixed, so yay! We got electricity.
We were afraid we were going to see a puff of smoke and then flames.
I need to have those digital effects that shows put fire on my head. Everything's working, guys. Sizzle, sizzle. Why do I smell burned hair? But yeah, we called Scott's son, and he walked Keith through it, which one it needed. It's really, he said it's obvious. One of the old fuses that it looks nothing like the other ones. You unscrew it, it's got a little button on it, you push it, and then you screw it back in.
I can actually remember.
Yourself getting down, please.
Yeah, I know. I can actually remember when I was a little kid. Okay, we were living in an old house, and one of the fuses blew or did something, and the lights went out. And my old man went down, unscrewed the fuse, put a penny behind it, and screwed it back in. A copper penny.
I've seen that done when I was a kid by my grandfather. I remember that shit, those old school ones. Hey, Keith, you want to pop your head in here and say hi to everybody? Here's Keith.
Hey, Keith. How's it going, buddy?
Keith. They're saying hi, man.
You guys have a good one.
Thanks for saving the day, buddy. I appreciate it.
Anytime, buddy.
All right, man. So he got it working. But now I know how it's done because he explained to me which one it is. I'm like, so I can try to break my neck next time because I didn't know what to do. And yay, Keith. Hey, curious while we're here, you going to be here for Saturday? Because Tom's going to be on with the Tom and Gerry thing.
Oh.
It's Beverly Hills Cop.
Ask me tomorrow.
Okay, I'll get with you tomorrow. All right, buddy. Thanks a lot, man. You're a lifesaver.
I know.
Cherry lifesaver.
Cherry.
That's the best one. Some people say lime. I'm like, no, cherry.
Cherry. Cherry is the best.
Yeah, leave it up and it's letting the air circulate. Yeah, they're not home, so I can leave the door open and get some air flowing through here.
Oh, I got some wonderful news, Gerry.
Okay, what is it?
Tomorrow, it's supposed to hit 80.
Oh, it's going to actually start to be spring in California.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's good news, man. But with that comes the rattlesnakes and scorpions.
Yeah, well, there's that. Oh, yeah, there's that.
I've always, this is a dream of mine, and I don't want to sound like one of those crazy survivalist people. I've always wanted to have a house with parapets and a mount to put either a 50 or a M60 on. Just be able to mount guns and defend the fort. And just start shooting the shit out of like snakes and scorpions.
You are a weird bitch. Let me tell you what.
I know.
I may feel the same way, but I ain't going to say it live on the radio.
Not on the radio. Ladies and gentlemen, the KGRA audience, Gary's insane. He's a crazy son of a bitch. But hey, I'm curious.
Oh, we'll have 1 minute.
I wanted to ask a question because, like, when did Army start using Smokey the Bear hats for their drill instructors? Because I know
they were originally from the campaign hats back in World War One.
Yeah,
right.
So both Army and Marines started at the same time then doing that.
Yeah, well, everybody wore campaign hats, not the Navy, but the Army and Marines wore them back then.
Guys,
part of their uniform.
We gotta go.
All righty. Hey, I want to thank everybody for being here. It's been a wonderful Wednesday. I want to thank Julia Dye for being our guest today. Absolutely wonderful show today, man. Don, thanks for doing the show with me today. And next week, let's, if it's okay with you, let's start talking about
my name on this fucking show.
Yeah.
Doesn't it say Don Ecker and Gerry Kissel? Isn't that how it is?
Yeah, then talk us out, man.
Then why would you be fucking thanking me, dipshit?
Because I'm grateful to have you as my co-host. That's why.
Oh, okay.
All right, guys. We are out of here. Don, you got anything else in closing you want to say?
Have a great week, guys. See you next.
Live long.
Those sons of bitches. Ma, I'm doing a show.